You have some stuff set up over here, but we're getting to work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That has something to do with this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let me make that happen over here. Let me get scrolling over. Okay, we set up right here.
Yep.
Okay. Anywho, you know who it is. Zeus Cruz of Olympia Multimedia, giving you another segment of Get Things Done. In this segment, as you scroll right over here with us, and as you can see on the laptop, you can kind of see the title there. We're dealing something with what? SEO. What we got going on here? Yes, guys. We're going to be discussing the real truth regarding SEO in terms of brand awareness and content creation, right? So obviously right off the bat, you're probably saying, what is SEO? What does that stand for? Well, it stands for search engine optimization. Hope I pronounced that right. Don't hold it against me. That's just a fancy term to saying, what are you doing to allow yourself to gain more of an online presence, right? So that you can bring more awareness to, let's say, your YouTube channel, your social media platforms, anything that has to deal online that you're trying to build traffic, build attention towards, right? What are you doing? What are you putting in place to ensure that you have the max amount of people that has access to your content and they're checking out? This also includes your website as well. We talked about it in the past and the importance of when building a brand. Yes, the wave right now is social media, right? It's all about putting out videos, especially when it comes to like IG reels, right? YouTube shorts, TikToks, short video clips that highlights or showcase different things that you got going on, your artistry, your product, your business, right? But you can't undermine the importance of having a website, especially in a more professional setting. Some people actually prefer to check out the website more so than your social media accounts, believe it or not. So let's not forget about the website. So today, I just want to go through the slides that I prepared as you pursue to get things done and talk about the importance of putting yourself in position using these different SEO tools, but also come full spectrum and talk about the reality behind using these different tools and these different resources and the kind of results that you could possibly potentially get, right? So let's dive into it, right? So again, what is SEO? Again, I just broke it down to you. It stands for search engine optimization. It's just a process of algorithms, basically. It's supposed to improve your visibility in search engines like Google, Bing, and YouTube. And it involves optimizing content, structure, and technical aspects to rank higher, along with driving more organic traffic to your website or your social media platforms. So by using these tools, people are going to be a lot more aware of what kind of content you have, what your brand stands for, what your business is about, what your product does, right? So what are aspects of SEO? Well, there's pretty much like 4. So if you look on to the left side, you have your on and off page SEO. So for on page SEO, that would be creating relevant content that matches user search queries. So what does that mean? That means if you are putting out content that's very specific, right, then your SEO should be built so that for other people who are looking for that specific type of content, that they can find you simply by typing the words in. Then you have off-page SEO, which is building authorities through backlinks and hyperlinks from other websites. This is so important. So, for instance, if you ever checked out olympiamultimedia.info, our official website for the business, if you notice right at the beginning of the page, you're going to notice off to the left, I believe, you're going to see some little icons that go, YouTube icon, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, so forth and so on. These are what you call hyperlinks, and they're so critically important. We'll talk a little bit more in depth a little bit later on in the video, but they're so important because they allow instant accessibility, right, to your other sites, right? So maybe you're more specific on just putting certain things on your website, right, or your YouTube, but then you put other type of content on Instagram or TikTok and so forth. So you want people to have that quick accessibility and not having to go through a search engine and type the stuff out again, or to log on to the app and try to find you that way. Right? Then the other two is, first off, technical and user experience, right? So for the technical, it's ensuring search engines can understand and index your website and social media platforms. And then for the user experience, it's ensuring that the outline platform is fast and easy to navigate. So that's a big thing. Believe it or not, especially when it comes to websites, there is a way where your website is not fully functional to the point where like it's hard for people to kind of like log on, let alone navigate your site. It also can happen with your social media sites as well. By using these SEO tools, it'll ensure people that not only is it easy to access it, but it's also easy to navigate through your website, through your YouTube channel. So they're allowed to look at all your different content that you got going on there. Why is SEO so important? Well, it breaks it down to awareness and accomplishment. So for awareness, it assists towards increasing visibility and creating more of an online presence. It attracts people searching for specific products, services, and information. We live in a fast-paced world, so people want results very, very quickly. So they're not really going to be in tune with trying to spend so long, right, trying to find you. You know what I mean? Especially since you might be doing content that's similar to a lot of other people. So you have to be kind of distinct and kind of set up how your online presence is to ensure that people are going to come see you. Because there also might be too, as far as like your brand name, right? Or your artist name could be awfully similar to someone else, right? So it might be a difference between a few letters or maybe like some numbers or some symbols or whatnot. You know what I mean? So you definitely want to ensure that people come to you and not the other person, right? And then you have accomplishment. Aligning with search engine algorithms that look for relevance and usability will make it easier for people to find you. So by using these algorithms, it's all about relevance. It's all about that usability. Distinguishing yourself from other people, especially when they make the same type of content as you. So let's say your content is music, right? But you concentrate more on, like, let's say the mixing side of music, while this person's over here concentrating a little bit more on just producing beats, right? Making instrumentals, creating melodies, right? So if you set your SEO correctly by using these different tools and resources, it would ensure that people who are looking for, look, man, I don't need help with making beats. I just really need help with just how do I mix this correctly. So that would assure that you're front and centered. And then as they're scrolling and they're looking for some tutorials, right? Tutorial videos on how to mix their music properly, there you go. Your name comes up. So that's all it means when it comes to accomplishment. There are examples of SEO applications. So it really breaks it down into two types: all-in-one SEO suites or technical/AI advanced SEO applications. So for the all-in-ones, the ones that I recommend, and it's definitely been used from with other people that I know that's within the world of content creation and They have their own websites when it comes to their business. Two right off the bat is SEMrush and SERPstat, and both offer keyword research, site audits, and market research. So the big thing that they offer is that keyword research. You can't underestimate the power of keywords. They're very important because it's a quick way to describe your content, right? But sometimes we might be a little too generic when it comes to the keywords that you use, right? So using these type of applications will help you kind of hone in on specific words that you should be using to describe your content. Now, this next one I definitely recommend because this is what Olympian uses, right? So it's the Google Search Console and Google Analytics 4. So it's direct data regarding performance and it tracks user behaviors. And that's a huge thing. So you're looking at the trends, you're looking at the analytics to get an understanding of, okay, we've been putting this type of video content, for example, right? And it's gaining pretty good traction. For each video that's similar to this particular content, we see some growth, right? Whereas we do this other type of content and we're noticing we're going the opposite direction, right? So again, it's taken over time to create these trends, but now you have an understanding of maybe I should divert more of my energy toward this type of content, right? It's the same thing, we use it a lot with the music that we produce here to get an understanding of what listeners out there are really looking for versus, yeah, this type of production, not so much. So it's a big thing to use these type of tools for the analytics to get an understanding of your audience, right? First and foremost, you should have already did a market research to get an understanding of what your target audience is. But now by using these analytics, now you can maintain that audience and hopefully gain a new audience, new people. Then you got the technical and the AI, right? So for the technical, I recommend Sitebulb, which is a desktop crawler that provides intuitive visualizations of audit data. So what does that mean? That basically means that it shows you in a visual way the data so that you get a real true understanding of, again, your audience. You get an understanding of what content works. This application is very similar to like the Google Analytics 4, where it really breaks down like demographics, like what regions seem to be like where most of your followers or your listeners or your subscribers are coming from, people who are checking out your content. And it also breaks down like the men, women, children, age brackets. These are all useful information because it's all dependent on who you're trying to drive your content toward. So it's important to get that kind of understanding. And then if you really want to be more involved with the AI, we talked about it in previous videos, the wave that is AI, everybody's using AI. You can use SEO.ai, which is a suite of tools for AI content generation and content management. So we're at the point right now where we're going to be discussing about analyzing what is within your power to control. What do I mean by that? Just to break it down to you guys real quick, and I'm pretty sure people who are content creators who will check out this video would agree with me to a certain point. Yes, utilizing all these tools, including AI, I definitely recommend it. I am not talking in terms of I'm against people using these type of tools, because here at Olympian we use it as well to a certain extent. What you need to get the understanding of, especially if you're starting out with content creation, it's a waiting game. You got to have a lot of patience to get to the point where you're actually gaining traction, where you're increasing viewership, you're getting the subscribers, right? You're getting the followers. You're getting people to constantly maintain, not maintain, but keep up with your content creation, what you post, right? These tools do help you put you in better position, but it still comes down to people have to buy into you, what you're doing and what your creation is, like your content is. And it's not to say that your content is bad. Yes, you might over time want to look at it like I might want to tweak this and tweak that, maybe change a couple things, right? Which is all fine, right? But it's not necessarily you're doing something wrong. The fact is, you may not just be somebody's cup of tea, unfortunately, right? For example, you guys know I'm an author. I'm an indie author. You know, I self-publish. It's tough trying to get my books out there to market and promote, right? Especially when it comes to like two things. Number one, it seems like there's a huge decline when it comes to people being in the books, right? Or just, the whole thing about just reading, right? But then number two, they have made it easier for people, specifically audiobooks, where people can just plug in their earbuds, right? And then just kind of just listen to a book, as they're doing whatever activities they're doing throughout the day, right? So to have a physical copy and to invest in an author and actually buy their book, it's tough. So you're going to have to play the waiting game and hope that you put out a book. Not to say that you're putting out your book is anything wrong with it and it's a horrible book or a horrible read. It's not like that. It's just you have to find your way, find your moment at some point where it's just like, okay, I got a lot of people buying into this book, and you start building that traction. Your revenue stream starts going up and you're getting the sales. It's a waiting game. At the end of the day, people have to buy into what you got. It doesn't matter how many apps you use. It doesn't matter how much AI you use, guys. There's no amount of AI or apps that's going to force people to click the subscribe button, right? Or to click on the follower button, or to click on the share button, right? Or click on the like button. At the end of the day, that's on the user. There's plenty of people that will click like, but will never share your content. There's plenty of people that would check out your YouTube channel and never subscribe to it. That's the truth. Now, we could sit here and debate on why they're not doing that, but the fact of the matter is only the user or the viewer themselves can answer that. Some people are just not inclined like that. They don't think of it like if they look at some content, okay, I'm going to like it. Even though they might have genuinely like it, let alone just go ahead and share it, right? They're not thinking of that. They'll just be quickly like, oh, I clicked the like button. I did like it. And then they'll just move on. Not thinking that by you sharing it, that's helping your resolve. So again, I am not talking in terms of do not use these tools. What I'm saying is understand that at the end of the day, no matter what you use and how much you put yourself in position for traffic, you try to bring traffic and attention to what your content is, just know at the end of the day, it's up to the viewer. It's up to the user. And unfortunately enough, there's just some people that just doesn't make the correlation, right? If they keep liking a certain type of content, they might never hit the subscribe button, unfortunately, or set it up so that they're a follower, right? Another thing too is a big thing that you kind of hope for is for people to click the notifications button. Some people don't do that. So they might be a fan of your content. They might even be a subscriber. But because they didn't hit notifications, they never knew that you put out new content. And you might have put out 10 new videos. Now they're way behind compared to everybody else. And now they're playing catch up. So these are just things to keep in mind. I am not saying this to discourage you or to make you feel some type of way. It's just the reality of the situation when you're dealing with being a content creator. Right? You got to play the long game. So what could you do, or how can you analyze what is within your power to control? What are these things? Content creation. Create engaging content consistently at a frequency you can handle. What does that mean? That means you got to be consistent with the content. You don't want to go too long without putting something out, because then you're kind of going to be lost in the mix. People might forget about you, essentially, right? But you need to do it at a frequency you can handle. There's plenty of people who are like myself who have a day job but also do content creation, right? So you have to get an understanding of your schedule and get an understanding of you don't want to wear yourself out or get yourself in this position where you feel the need to constantly put something out. And then when you're doing that at such a high frequency, you're stressing yourself out and you're not putting out good quality work or good quality content. Right? Interaction. Boost your chance at engagement through likes, shares, and comments. Again, it's a shame that you have to kind of advertise this when it comes to your content creation. You would think it would just be like automatic, right? If somebody likes your stuff, they're going to share it. They might comment. They're going to subscribe, so forth and so forth. Unfortunately, it's not like that. So make it known to people. Sorry to say, but you're going to have to put out them reminders. Visibility. Write a 200 to 350 word summary, filled with relevant keywords that include the hyperlinks that we talked about earlier. When describing your brand or your content, so important. Be very descriptive. Let people get a real understanding. You don't have to talk about everything from A to Z, but just put enough in there where people get a pretty good sense of what your content is about, what your brand, who you are, what's your identity. Right? Design. Be creative, innovative when it comes to the fonts, the graphics, the effects that you use within your content. Utilize intro videos and musical arrangements along with end screens to promote future or previous content. So important. You're utilizing these different intro videos, musical arrangements. You add some certain type of effects. It just adds textures to your content. You don't want your content to be too monotone, right? You want to put a little bit of flair into it. And believe it or not, people do care about the fonts and the graphics, right? It's catchy, especially like the color scheme. You don't want the color scheme to be kind of depressing and kind of morbid in nature, right? You want it to be kind of like stand out, have a little bit of pop to it. And last but not least, research and development. Continue a rigorous market research to better understand trends. And that's what these SEO tools can do. They could kind of take a little bit of the grunt work from you and do this research for you. And then from there, you can analyze the data and get a better understanding of what you need to do forward as far as bringing awareness to your content. So what's the next steps? Well, for assignment 1, use auto-complete search features to find popular search terms. Focus on long-tail specific phrases. I know you guys got to be aware of it. I know, I believe YouTube and TikTok are really good at that. When you start spelling out a word, and then they give you like a long list of different words and phrases, right? That's very important to keen in on that, because these are the more popular words that people have been using in their search engine to look up different types of content. So you might want to go along with what they're suggesting. It's a big help. Assignment 2, name your content file with target keywords before uploading to increase your relevance on a platform's search registry. What does that mean? Well, again, everything that you put on your content, it goes into a search registry, right? Depending on how specific you make yourself, you can be lost in the mix within that registry, where people will skip over your content and go to this person's content, even though you're kind of similar in nature, right? So within the target file, like within the file name, you should put exactly what that content is. And that will help bring some more relevance, more attention to you when your content is put into that search registry. And then assignment 3, continue to use them analytics as a reference point for metrics and monitor which search terms drive traffic. Use this data to inform future content. So make a note of this stuff once you look at the analytics and you get an understanding of what works and it's starting to create a little bit more traction for yourself. You need to make a note of this. Somewhere put it in your notes and use it as that reference point moving forward. So that's about it. I mean, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I just wanted to give you some insight when it comes to SEO. It's very important to utilize this. Utilize these tools that's out there. A lot of these tools that you utilize are not very expensive. Most of them is from a subscription model, so you just pay each month. Definitely use them. I recommend them. All I'm saying is, if you're not seeing the traction that you would like to see, just be more patient. It's not to say you're doing something wrong. It's just at the end of the day, it's about people who are checking out your content. It may not be something that they're into, or you might be in a field that's overly saturated with a lot of content creators. So in that regard, you might have to do something really over the top, maybe something outside of your peripheral, something that you may not be necessarily comfortable with, right? But just for you to separate yourself from the pack, right? You might have to do something a little bit over the top. So that's why we were preaching about innovation, right? Being as creative as you can be, and be experimental. Do not be afraid to be experimental and try out new things. You never know, it might take you to the next level. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. You know who it is. It's Zeus Cruz of Olympia Multimedia. And the only thing left to say is get things done. Check you later.